how's it going? Welcome to Skein Spider. Today we have another What the Hook pattern, and this month's prompts, or the previous month's prompts, depending on when this comes out, were an elephant, a paintbrush, and some nail polish. So using those, I've come up with an Arty elephant, and I did intend to do the nail polish by doing, coloured toes, but I literally forgot about it until this very moment. So let's just pretend that it's got some nail polish on its toes, or that it has toes at all. But anyway, that's what we're going to be making today. So grab your hooks and let's get started. To make this pattern, you're going to need both a 3 and a 3.5mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, a needle, pins, stuffing, 16mm safety eyes, as well as a pipe cleaner and 8-ply yarn in colours of your choice. For most of the body, we're going to be using our 3.5mm hook, so grab that, and then we're going to begin by first making the belly patch. Round 1 of that is just 6 single crochet in a magic circle. And round 2 is actually our final round, so this one's short and sweet, and we're just going to do 6 increases. That's just 2 single crochet in each stitch. Finish off with a slip stitch, and then we're just going to leave a tail for sewing. The next parts we're going to be making are the legs. For that, you're also going to need your 3.5mm hook. Now with the legs, they all follow the same pattern, except the 2 front legs just have a few more rounds than the back legs to make them taller. We're going to begin by putting 6 single crochet in a magic circle. Round 2 is 6 increases. Round 3 is 1 single crochet and then an increase repeated 6 times. Round 4 is worked in the back loop only, and that is the part of the stitch that is furthest away from us, so this little part here. So we're going to work into that for 18 stitches for round 4. The following rounds are just going to be 18 single crochet each. However, if you're making the back legs, which I currently am making my second back leg, rounds 5 through to 10 are going to be 18 single crochet. However, if you're making the front legs, rounds 5 through to 13 are going to be 18 single crochet. So the front legs have 3 additional rounds. Because this is the 4th leg I've made, I'm going to secure my end with a stitch marker and leave the yarn attached to my ball. So I'm going to set that aside for now. However, what you're going to do is you're going to make 3 other legs. You're going to make 2 front legs and 1 back leg, and you're going to just cut a short tail of yarn, and then you're going to weave that end through the back stitches to hide it. So you're going to have three legs that you've prepared earlier with the yarn end weaved in, and 1 back leg that you're going to leave attached to your ball of yarn. When you've done all 4, you're going to take the one that's still attached to your yarn, and you're going to grab a 3rd stitch marker. Start from stitch number 1, and then you're going to count until you reach stitch number 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Place that stitch marker there. We're just going to use this as a bit of a visual aid, but if you just want to count to stitch number 6, you can do that without placing the stitch marker there. When you've got that stitch marker in place, or you're just counting to stitch number 6, we're going to bring in the belly patch that we crocheted first. So grab your needle, and we're going to thread the end of the tail of the belly patch through that needle. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sew the belly patch to each of the legs for 3 stitches. Now there's 12 single crochet here, So that's 3 for each leg. However, if you slip stitch to finish off, the slip stitch does not count as a stitch in the round. The same thing goes for your legs. If you slip stitch to finish off, the slip stitch does not count as a stitch in the final round. So to begin, we're going to make sure that the right sides of our stitches of the belly patch is facing down. And then we're going to start with the leg, the back leg that's still on our hook. Whoops. And we're going to go, stay still. We're going to go into stitch number 6 from the back leg still on our hook where we place that stitch marker. So again, if you're not placing a stitch marker, just count out to stitch number 6 and insert your needle there. So I can take that out now. So I'm going to sew into stitch number 6, and then I'm going to sew into stitch number 12 from the belly patch. So that's 1 stitch on each, 1 stitch from the leg, 1 stitch from the belly patch. Then I'm going to go into stitch number 5 from the leg, and stitch from number 11 from the belly patch. That's 2 stitches. And then we're going to go into stitch number 4 from the leg and number 10 from the belly patch. So that is 3 stitches. Now what we're going to do is bring in the second back leg, the one we've already crocheted and hidden the end. The stitch that you choose to go into on this leg doesn't matter. So just pick a random stitch. However, I like to crochet over my start/end of the round so I can hide that slip stitch. So from this point, I'm going to go straight into stitch number 1, which is here. And then I'm going to go into the next stitch of the belly patch. And just pull tightly on that yarn so it sits nice and close together. Then into the next stitch, so this will be stitch number 12 from the leg. Remember to skip over that slip stitch if you used one. And into the next stitch of the belly patch, and then we've got 1 more to go here. Next stitch, and we're going to sew that together. So we should have 6 stitches left in our belly patch, and this time we're going to be bringing in the first front leg, and we're going to repeat that process again. I'm going to go into stitch number 1, next free stitch, pulling tight on the yarn so they sit nice and close together. Next stitch in the leg, next stitch in the belly patch, pull tight, and 1 more, leg, belly patch, and then we've got 1 more leg to go. So bring in the final front leg, one, into the leg, into the next stitch of the belly patch, 2, and then our final one, leg, and the last stitch that should be left in the belly patch. There we go. The next thing we're going to do, so we're not going to cut this tail end yet, but we're going to be sewing the front legs together and the back legs together for 3 stitches. So you can start at either end, it doesn't really matter, but what I'm going to do is weave this needle through the backs of the stitches of the belly patch until you reach the join between the 2 front legs. So here, these are my front legs, and I want to reach here. It doesn't matter if this weaving through the backs of the stitches is a little bit messy, because we're not going to be seeing it anyway once we add the stuffing. So when you've got your needle in the correct position here, we're going to be sewing 3 stitches, the next 3 stitches from each leg together. What you want to make sure of before you start is you're not sewing into the stitches that are sewn to the belly patch. So if you take your legs and you just gently ease them apart like that, you can see the stitch that we've worked into on either side. You can see the yarn where they've joined together. So we want to be working into the next free stitch. So you're going to go into the first one of the right front leg, then you're going to go across to the first free stitch of the left leg. There we go. And I'm just going to sew over those two same stitches once more. Then we're going to go down to the next stitch of each leg, so on the right and the one on the left. Sew together. And then again in the third, so into the third stitch of the right leg, third stitch of the left leg, and sew together. And I'm just going to go over those third stitches once more to secure them. Nice and tight. And this time we're going to take our needle and weave it back down. We're going to weave it back down until we're at the opposite end between the back legs, and we're going to do the exact same thing. So the next three stitches, the next free three stitches down. So we're going to go into the first stitch on each leg, sew together, into the second stitch, sew together. Now the first stitch of that leg we did that's still attached to our yarn, where our stitch marker is for stitch 1, that's the stitch you want to be sewing together. So you're going to need to remove that stitch marker, remove that stitch marker, and then you're going to sew into the third stitch of the left leg and then into the stitch where we just removed our stitch marker from. So stitch 1 of that last leg we crocheted, and then sew those two together. Once you're done finished sewing all those pieces together, you can finish off. So I'm just going to weave my needle back to the center of the belly patch, or roughly the center. And I'm just going to go under one of the stitches and tie the end off. And then all the sewing, for this part at least, is done. With all that, so we've sewed each leg together for 3 stitches to the belly patch, we've sewn front legs together for 3 stitches and the back legs together for 3 stitches. That should leave us with 12 free stitches in each leg, which totals 48 single crochet. So now we're going to bring in our 3.5mm hook again. You're going to insert it back into the end that we secured with a slip knot. And we're going to crochet for round 1 of the body 48 single crochet, putting 12 single crochet in each leg. The first single crochet that we need to make is actually into the second leg because we sewed the first single crochet to this leg. So we're going to jump from this point to the first free single crochet of the next leg, and this then becomes stitch number 1 where we place our stitch marker. So continue single crocheting. And 12. Once you've done 12 single crochet in this first leg here, we're going to jump across to the front leg. If you're a bit uncertain as to which stitch you need to be working into, once again just pull the legs apart gently and look for the yarn where they're joined together. So as you can see, this stitch here has been worked into, so we want to work into this one which doesn't have any yarn joining it. So the next free stitch, we're going to go straight into that and single crochet, and then we're going to continue on. So you're going to do the same thing for the join here and the join here. Just make sure you're working into the free stitches. Once you've done the 48 single crochet from round 1, both rounds 2 and 3 are 48 single crochet as well. Round 4 begins with 6 single crochet. After the 6th single crochet, we're going to do an invisible decrease. To do that, go under the front loops of the next 2 stitches. Then you're going to yarn over and pull through both of those front loops, and then yarn over and pull through the 2 loops that are on your hook. After that first decrease, we're going to do 30 single crochet. And 30. After that 30th single crochet, we're going to do another decrease. We're going to follow this with 4 more single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 more decrease. And then we're going to finish the round with 2 single crochet. And 2. After round 4, we should have 45 stitches in our round, and then round 5 is just going to be 45 single crochet. Round 6 is 5 single crochet followed by a decrease, and then we're going to do 30 single crochet, 1 decrease, 4 single crochet, and finish with a decrease. Round 7 is 42 single crochet. Round 8 is 4 single crochet and a decrease, and then we're going to do 30 single crochet. After that, another decrease, 2 single crochet, and then finish on a decrease.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Round 9 is 39 single crochet. Round 10 begins with 1 decrease, and then we're going to do 2 single crochet, another decrease, 30 single crochet, 1 decrease, and then finish the round with 1 single crochet. Round 10 is the final round of the body, so we're just going to slip stitch to finish off, and then we're going to leave a tail for sewing. For the next step, you're going to need to grab 2 stitch markers, and then we're going to place 1 in stitch number 12 and 1 in stitch number 29. So start at round 1 and begin counting. 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 8 and 29. By doing this, you should have 18 single crochet, so from 12 to 29 you should have 18 single crochet, and then 18 free single crochet, which is going to come into play in the next step. But for now, what we're going to do is begin stuffing the legs and the first half of the body. When you're stuffing the legs, to keep the bottoms nice and flat, press them down onto a firm flat surface as you're stuffing. When you finish stuffing, grab your needle, and then we're going to thread the tail end that we left through that. And then we're going to sew the back together. What we're going to do is line up these stitches. So we've got stitch number 12 and 29 here. So we're going to be using stitch 11 and stitch 30, and we're going to match those up. And let's get that out the way. And starting from stitch numbers 11 and 30, we're then going to match up the other stitches. So all in all, because we have 18 stitches here, so when we press them together like so, that means we're going to be doing 9 stitches because we're going to be sewing into one from each side. Now the end of our round is slightly off center, so you're going to take your needle and then you're going to push it through one of the stitches at the very end. So as you can see, here, let me bring this nice and close and focus up. As you can see, there's 2 stitches on the end here. They're the ones we're going to sew into first. So you're going to go out one of those, doesn't really matter which one. So I've chosen the back one, and then I'm going to sew into the front one here and then straight out the back one again. And from there, we're going to be working into the paired stitches, so one at the front, one at the back, and sewing those together. So I sewed the first 2 together. I'm going to go into the second one at the front, the second one at the back. Now, if you slip stitch, like with when we were sewing the legs together, the slip stitch isn't going to count as a stitch as we're sewing these together. So I'm going to go into the third, fourth, and then just continue sewing all the way down until you reach those stitch markers. So the last stitches that we're going to be sewing together should be stitch number 11 here and stitch number 30 here. When you've sewn those last 2 stitches, you can either finish off straight away, or what you can do, what I'm going to do, is add a little bit more stuffing first and then weave the needle in to secure the end. I prefer doing this because just having that bit of additional stuffing gives you something to secure the yarn into. And then when you finish stuffing, we're just going to weave that end through the body. Snip off the excess yarn, and then that's the body done. We can go on to doing the head.